Yo, what's good, Sixer Nation? DFJ Hoops here, back again with another live stream. Oh my goodness. Sixers training camp is right around the corner. Media day is this Friday. We're going to talk about everything, everybody involved, the expectations, what to expect from everybody else, the health statuses of each player heading into training camp. We're going to break everything down right here on DFJ Hoops. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Salute to my guy, BJ. Always in the building, showing love. Appreciate you, bro. Go Sixers. Yeah, go Sixers. But I don't think you a Sixer fan. So, um, you got that Donovan Mitchell avatar. So I don't think you a Sixer fan. But anyway, appreciate you for being here, bro. All right, man. Let me just go into it. Let me just start. Now, this might be a longer live stream because I'm gonna talk about everybody else. From the top to bottom. Start with ownership all the way to the front office, all the way to the team, to the bottom. Now I'm not going to talk about the G League players or anything like that. I'm just talk about the Sixer players in general because that's who the team revolves around, right? So, but I think this year is going to be like the last dance equivalent for the Sixers because this year this team, if things do not go well for the Sixers, we can look to the Sixers making significant moves in terms of changing personnel in the front office, um, trading a bunch of players or cutting a bunch of players or letting players walk in free agency next year. And then we might see the Sixers head into a different direction or new direction where Tyrese Maxey becomes the franchise of the team. I mean, he's already the franchise. I mean, everybody calls him that, but we can look to see Tyrese Maxey be the best player on the team, and then everything else is going to be different, right? Paul George might get traded, and Embiid might get moved, right? So this year they have to get it. They got to get everything together, right? And it starts with Daryl Morey. Now, Daryl Morey, he really has confidence in his team, has faith in his team, has faith in Embiid, faith in Paul George and the moves that he made last offseason and then this offseason. Now, this offseason, he didn't really do too much. I think the only signings he made, I mean, bringing back Kyle Lowry, bringing back Eric Gordon, bringing back, what you call it? He he let he let Yabu walk for free, walk for nothing, but he didn't really make significant moves this offseason. I think last year was the year that he made a lot of moves. So he kind of has belief, has faith in it. Salute to Za. Appreciate you, bro. He says the friend. Hey, that's what Joel Embiid calls him, bro. He's a franchise, right? But yeah, I think after this year, if things don't go well, I think they might look to move in everybody else and then Tyrese Maxey because they're trying to make Tyrese the best player on this team, right? They're trying to make him the leader of the team, which I think that shouldn't be something that they should be doing right now. Because I mean, you have Joel Embiid. Embiid is the best player on the team. Embiid is the man. This is his team, not Maxey's team. He's got next, but as of right now, Joel Embiid. But I mean, can it be Joel Embiid's team right now if he's, going through injuries and not playing and, going through whatever he's going through and not being able to get on the court and play a lot of games, right? So that's the only confusion that's the only confusion that there is right there, right? So Maxey is the future, right? Maxey is the future. Nick Nurse has belief in him. The front office, everybody else has belief in him that he could be the best player on this team in the very near future. But I don't think it should be next season, right? Because Tyrese Maxey, as good as he is, do you actually think Maxey can? Absolutely not. Hell no. Bro, we already seen that. Like, we've seen that. We saw that last 2 years when Joel Embiid got hurt and Maxey was the best player on the team. And the team only won like 5 or 6 games, right? Maxey cannot be the best player on the championship team. So hell no. Hell no. Right? But that's what the Sixers are trying to make him out to be. They're trying to make him the best player on this team, which I completely disagree with because Joel Embiid clearly should be the best player on this team, and even Paul George. Now we might disrespect Paul George all we want, but as far as being the best player and leading your team further, I think we can all agree or all say that Paul George has done a better job at it, better than Maxey has. Now Maxey's still young; he's still learning. There's a lot of aspects to his game that he has to add to it to get to the next level. In terms of the point guard position, I don't think Maxey is a top 5 point guard at right now, but I think Maxey can, add a lot of layers to his game to get to that level. But as of right now, no. Do I see him making that jump next season? I just don't think so. I think there's a lot that he has to learn to get to that level, right? But let me go with I was kind of getting off track a little bit. What I was saying was is that Daryl Morey has to, believe in every move that he's made, and he has to trust the decisions he's made in the past, right? Salute to my guy, Rap God Reloaded. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Now, that's with Daryl Morey, right? That's Daryl Morey. But when we go to coaching and we talk about Nick Nurse and some of the decisions that he was making last year, right? With the team, with the players, how the play calls were going. Let me change this a little bit. Yeah. So Nick Nurse, with the decisions he was making, the offense was very, very predictable. The offense wasn't really a real offense. He was really relying upon Tyrese Maxey to make everything happen. And Maxey, jacked up a bunch of shots, not looking to facilitate, looking to score his points. And he did average career highs in points. He took a bunch of shots, but the percentages were very, very low because, he had to do a lot. When you're taking a bunch of shots, you know what I'm saying, you're going to miss a bunch of shots, especially if you're out there working with players who do not have, scoring who do not have the scoring prowess of a Joel Embiid or of a Paul George, is going to be very, very difficult. The defense can key in on you and make your life very, very difficult. Crowd your airspace, crowd the paint, and make it very, very difficult for you to score. Right. So that's what Tyrese Maxey had to go through. But I think this year, I think Nick Nurse has to really revolutionize the offense and really involve a lot of people within the offense, right? Because the first year when he got here, it was a lot of passing, a lot of ball movement, a lot of player movement. But last year we didn't really see that, right? The first year that he got here, we saw a lot of passing. We saw a bunch of guys, being involved in the offense. Later on it got to where Joel Embiid was taking a bunch of those shots, but when he got here at first, like a lot of guys were involved in the offense. Like guys were cutting. Kelly Oubre had a lot of opportunities when he was cutting backdoor. Pause if necessary, but he was getting a lot of opportunities at the rim where he would just cut behind the defense, and then Joel Embiid would do a great job of finding him in the dunker spot, and then he would get easy opportunities in the dunker spot, right? But last year we didn't really see that a lot. We saw a bunch of, ISO ball. We saw a bunch of Tyrese Maxey, trying to make things happen, not relying upon his teammates, not really utilizing his teammates as much. And then we saw Kelly Oubre, shoot very, very poorly from the 3-point line. Now, Kelly is not a very good 3-point shooter, but some of his shots were kind of like time bombs, right? He gets it to like 3 seconds on the shot clock, 2 seconds on the shot clock, which he has to put up, which 9 times out of 10, those shots are really going to limit your 3-point percentage, right? It's going to limit your 3-point percentage. Nick Nurse needs dependable role players, and that's on Daryl Morey to provide him some help. I agree, but I think this year is going to be different, right? Because a lot of the guys are going to be healthy this year. You can see Jared McCain. He's making a lot of progress from his meniscus injury that he had last season. They added a few guys on the team that they're not really big names, but I think they can really do a better job, right, than what we had last season with some of these guys coming in and some of these guys coming in, signing 10-day contracts and signing two 10-day contracts in a row and not really having consistency within the roster, right? So we didn't really get to see a lot of those guys. But I think this year is going to be different. Guys are going to be healthy. Jared McCain is going to be healthy. VJ Edgecombe is going to be a huge addition to what we do, and it's definitely going to be very, very better, right? Salute to my guy Ja in the building, dude. Make more live videos. Bored with those few channels always popping up on YouTube. Oh, I got you, bro. Nah, I got you, bro. It's a new season, right? And this off season, we had to deal with Quentin Grimes, trolling, not signing with the Sixers. Even to this day, he hasn't signed with the Sixers. So that's something that we have to talk about as well. And I think the whole offseason, I spent the most of the offseason talking about Quentin Grimes, and it just got redundant. So, but the season about to start, media day this Friday. We definitely we gonna make a lot of live videos. So yeah, appreciate you, bro. DFJ and BJ need to do a collab. Yeah, we definitely, yeah. When the Sixers play the Clippers, we'll definitely We'll definitely do a collab. I'm gonna be on camera. I'm gonna definitely be on camera. But yeah, that's what Nick Nurse, right? So Nick Nurse, has to involve more guys in the offense. Now, also something you can't really blame Nick Nurse for is that most of his guys were not healthy. His best players were not healthy, right? Embiid in and out the lineup, Paul George in and out the lineup, and even when those three guys played, it was very very difficult for him to kind of like involve all three of those guys into the offense because things were very very difficult, right? So we saw a lot of Maxey and Joel Embiid two-man game where Paul George was in the corner. I think next year we don't have to really see that, right? We don't really have to see that. We have to see Paul George involved in the offense, right? He has to have a bigger role in the offense rather than just go sit in the corner and shoot open jumpers or, just when you get the ball at the top of the key, just create something. Right. We need to see more action within the offense, like horns action, pistol action from the corner. We need to see some DHOs with him and Joel Embiid. We need to see some two-man game with him and Tyrese Maxey. Like we need to see some level of dynamic offense from Paul George and Joel Embiid and Maxey. And that is all on Nick Nurse, right? Nick Nurse has to make it happen because Nick Nurse is calling the shots. He calls the plays. So if he's not calling the play for Paul George, guess what? Paul George is not going to get any plays ran for him. But Paul George is capable and he's that good of an offensive player to make things happen, right? Now sometimes he can bail you out with some bad shots, right? Some bad shots do go in, but Paul George, you should look to put him in positions to be successful, right? Not just go sit in the corner or just try to create something from the top of the key. Like offenses like that are very, very. It's easy to guard, right? It's easy to guard. So, more fluidity within the offense. And Paul George, we know what he brings defensively. He gets on the glass too, right? If Paul George plays, he gets you 5 or 6 rebounds. That's really, really, really helpful for us, right? Defensively, we know what he's capable of doing. As a point of attack defender or somebody or somebody as a help defender, we know what Paul George is capable of doing. So Nick Nurse has to combine all of those elements together, and also Nick Nurse has to assign roles to each and every player. Right now, that's something that every head coach does, but I think next year has to be really defined, and guys are not supposed to go overboard in terms of what they're supposed to do. Now we saw Kelly Oubre last year trying to, you know, do things do things above what he's capable of doing, which is trying to create offense, trying to do more than he's capable of doing. And that went to the detriment of the Sixers, right? It went to the detriment of the Sixers, and the Sixers could not really capitalize off that because that's not what Kelly Oubre is capable of doing. That's not his job, right? Initiating offense or trying to play make is not something that Kelly Oubre is supposed to be doing. Kelly is a role player who can come off the bench or whether he's starting, right? He guards the other team's best players. He dives on the floor for those loose balls. He does all the dirty work for you. He shoots open threes when he's wide open, right? Because teams are going to give him that. Teams are going to give him those shots, right? So Kelly Oubre should be hitting those shots at a very, very at a decent clip, right? The year he got here, he was shooting like 35% from the three. Now that's 1% lower than league average, right? I think the league average is 36%, and him shooting 35%, that was pretty good, right? Pretty good. It's still below average, but it's still pretty good. But last year, 29% is not really going to help the Sixers a lot, right? And that's where the Sixers really suffered at, shooting threes, making and shooting threes. So every player needs a defined role, and I think it's up to the head coach to assign these roles. Now we know if Joel Embiid is on the court, we know he's the best player. He's the anchor on defense. He talks. He's very very vocal on the court. Maxey can be vocal on the court as well. Paul George is also vocal. He's pretty vocal, right? If you listen to Paul George mic'd up moments, you can see how vocal he is on the court, like telling guys where to be at, telling guys who they have to pick up on defense and assigning. Because Paul George also talks on defense, right? Paul George is that good defensively. Now, let's forget about the season he had last year because it's over with, right? It's a fresh start. It's a fresh new year for Paul George. Now, yeah, he's a year older, year 16, right? But he's still he still communicates when he's out there on the floor. He still talks. He yells out plays. He tells guys where to be at. Right, the Maxies, the guards, the little guards. He shows everybody where they're supposed to be at, who's supposed to get who, and he's that vocal defensively. Right, so that's what Paul George does. So I think the coach has to do his job, but also the players should also be an extensive coach on the floor as well. And that goes to the Joel Embiids, that goes to the Paul George. They have to be vocal on the floor as well. And Adem Bona, who can come off the bench, and Adem Bona he's going to be very, very good defensively. Now, Adem Bona, I'm gonna get to in a very few minutes here because that's a topic on its own, right? It's a topic on its own. Smash that like button as y'all come in. Smash that like button. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. So, now as it pertains to the offense, like if all our guys are healthy, I don't want to see Embiid, trying to stat pad. I don't want to see Embiid trying to get us points. Now, we should be scoring by committee, right? We should be helping each other out on the floor, right? One man should not look to have all the offensive responsibility by himself. And that goes to Paul George, that goes to Joel Embiid, that goes to Maxey as well. Especially Maxey, because Maxey wants every shot. Maxey always, seems to have tunnel vision when he's going downhill, not looking to pass. And that's something that the Pull Up Basketball podcast told me, right? Because I was saying that Maxey's fast and Maxey can make things happen, but sometimes, him being fast and him trying to make things happen goes to the detriment of the team. Because I said this before and I'll say it again. Maxey has a tendency of, if he's going downhill, he's just looking to score. And defenses can capitalize off that because if they know you're not going to score, guess what? They're going to crowd the paint, crowd the lane, and they know you're going to try to force up a shot. And Maxey being 6'2", 6'3", you're not going to finish over three guys. It's just not going to happen. So what Maxey tries to do is that you'll try to take on the primary defender guarding him, the defender in the gap, and also the defender rotating from the weak side to block the shot. He tries to finish over all three guys, and it's just bad offense, right? It's bad offense because guess what? A lot of guys are open, right? A lot of guys are open. So Maxey doesn't have that, that natural playmaking instinct where if guys are trying to, block a shot, there's guys open. So let me just try to hit them in the corner or hit them at the top of the key or find the open man. Maxey doesn't have that in his game. So I think that's something that he has to, I think it comes with experience and him going through what he went through last year with two of the best players not playing, right? Paul George and Joel Embiid not playing. I hope Maxey learned from that, right? I hope Maxey learned from that, and he can also try to utilize his teammates on the floor as much as possible to make his job even more easier. Because if these guys are hitting shots, guess what? It opens the floor up for me even more because guys have to pay attention to the other guys making threes, but they also have to pay attention to me. So if they have to pay attention to all the other guys, guess what? I get to play one-on-one. So I can get to, go all the way to the basket. I can get to, shoot these sidestep threes. I can get to get my points too. Right? So that's something that I hope Maxey had learned from, right? Also, Paul George. Now, Paul George, I'm not really trying to go in on Paul George that much because, he had his fair share of criticism from last season because he had a terrible season, right? Career lows in points. His percentages were low. He dealt with injuries, so he gets to get the injury on or whatever. But this year we need to see Paul George step up much better than he did last season. Salute to my guy Mitch Kofsky. He's going to be going live at 8:00, reacting to the interview that Maxey did with Philly Take with RB. So y'all should definitely tune in for that. Salute to my guy, bro. Salute to my guy. But Paul George, like I said, the communication on the floor is always there. He's always, yelling out calls, telling players where to be at. He's very, very vocal, right? But we need to see him step up, right? Step up as the veteran guy on the team, as, one of the leaders on the team, because Paul George has to have a leadership role and not try the leadership role should not be Tyrese Maxey. Now, that's something that I've been hearing in the community for, a few weeks now, that Maxey's the leader of the team. Bullshit. Why should Tyrese Maxey be the leader on the team when you have Paul George and Joel Embiid on the court? That should not be the case, right? And it's not any hate towards Maxey. I mean, Maxey, you haven't been through enough. Paul George has, Embiid has, right? Paul George has played in the Eastern Conference. You feel me? Went to the conference finals, battling against the Miami Heat Big Three. Like, he's been through it all. And then he went to the Western Conference. Now, I know it's in the past, but it's still experience. He went to the Western Conference, right? Now, the first year, yeah, they blew a 3-1 lead, whatever. But the next year, without Kawhi Leonard, he was able to elevate the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals. Those are all experiences, right? That's something that Maxey has not experienced yet. That's something that he hasn't been through yet. So you can't force somebody to have a leadership role when they haven't even been through it yet, right? So those responsibilities should go to Paul George. Those responsibilities should go to players who have experienced it before. So I'm not saying Maxey cannot be a leader. He can be a leader. I mean, he can be the leader of the younger guys, right? The Jared McCains, the VJ Edgecombs, right? The first and second year players, right? But as far as, being on the court, like calling plays, telling people where to be at, that shouldn't be Maxey's. That shouldn't be, or a motivator, that shouldn't be Maxey's job, right? He's too young, hasn't experienced it yet. And that's something that Paul George has to step up and assume that role, right? Because Paul George sometimes is a little bit nonchalant, and he's just, I just want to go out there and play. I'm not trying to do too much. I ain't trying to be drawn out here. But no, that's not the time for that, right? Smash that like button as y'all come in. That's not the time for that. Like, this team, we have an opportunity right here, right? And we have to capitalize off this opportunity this season, right? Now, I'm not going to say what the opportunity is, but this team has a potential to get to the conference finals and potentially get to the finals this year, right? With all the guys being healthy. I mean, obviously. So, Paul George, you need to be much better than you were last season. Like, let's throw away last season. Okay, that was a dud season. Like, let's forget about it. Right? Let's forget about it. Let's act like it never even happened. Right? And let's move on. Let's just move on. There's a new season. We're turning over a new leaf, new beginnings. This is where it starts, right? This is where it starts. And what the best players do, what the leaders do, anything you do, that's what the other guys are going to look at, right? If you're half-assing in practice, guess what? The younger guys are going to do the same. If you're not taking this shit serious in practice, guess what? The other guys are going to do the same, right? Hello, I'm Jorge from Davao City, Philippines, fan of Philadelphia 76ers. My idol is Paul George. Appreciate you, bro. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, this is a Sixers channel. We talk everything basketball, but primarily the Sixers. So you can be a part of the family. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you. Salute to the Philippines. But yeah, the leadership role, Paul George should have a higher leadership role than Tyrese Maxey. Right now, Maxey as the point guard, like my guy, Rap Guy Reloaded just said, Maxey needs to be more of a playmaker for the team to be successful. Now, yes, as a playmaker, you are an extension of the coach on the floor. So in other ways, you have a leadership role on the floor, on the court. So we all agree to it. But there should be levels to it. And what I mean by levels, the vet guys that have been through it the most, they should have a higher leadership role than you, right? And that goes to the guy on the right too, right? That goes to the guy on the right too. Now, Joel Embiid, last season, 19 games, right? He had his good moments playing, but had a lot of bad moments as well, right? And it came to an all-time low when we played against the Milwaukee Bucks, and the reporter, I think he had a conversation with the reporter, and they played it live on television, and he said he, thinks he needs a second surgery, right? He was down bad. But I think as of this year, now we've seen, practice footage of Embiid, at the practice facility, putting up shots, not wearing a knee brace. Like that's all good. That's good, right? That's the good thing about it. But I don't think Embiid is ready for. I don't think he's doing full contact yet, right? I think he's just doing, just non-contact stuff right now because the Sixers have to clear him to play, and they haven't given us any official statement yet. So, I think as of right now, I think Sixer fans we just believe that he's making progress, but um we just need to see him practice with the team, right? I haven't seen any footage of him like working out, 5-on-5 practice with the team. I haven't seen that yet, but I think he's in good. Like he's making progress towards it. I don't think he's going to start off the season. Now he might be there media day, and he should get ready for the questions that they're going to ask him at media day because he didn't do last year when he got, when they rolled him out. We didn't really see Joel Embiid again, right? I think the next time we saw him was when he was accepting his um the Olympic ring from the Olympics, right? Because they had won the Olympics, whatever, the year before. That's the last time we seen him. So he should expect to get a lot of questions about his health, about the article in ESPN, the 2 hour article or whatever, right? He should expect questions from those articles as well, and also he should expect questions for his future, right? Because these reporters, they're not gonna be soft on him, right? They're gonna ask him questions that are gonna make him feel very, very uncomfortable, right? So he should expect to get those questions. But as it pertains to, getting on the floor and playing, right? Embiid has to, take a leadership role on the floor as well, right? And Embiid should also look to get his teammates involved, look to make his teammates better, like the other players make their teammates better, right? The Jokic's of the world, the Tatum's of the world, the best players, SGA, Luca, and B should do the same thing. Now, making your players better is not always, like passing them the ball for them to make a shot. Like making them better also means that you have to motivate them, you have to get them to work hard, you have to get them to, be committed to the team and to the grind as well. That's all a part of making your teammates better, right? And that's something that Embiid has to, that's something that Embiid has to do, right? That's something that he has to do. But yeah, getting out there on the court playing, playing every game like it's your last, taking this shit serious, not goofing around in practice. Like Embiid at this point, like Embiid is getting older and there's certain things that he shouldn't be doing. Now, if he claims that he really wants to win a championship, I think this is a season where, all those goofy shit, that's where it ends. And the Troel Embiid stuff on the X, and that's, you got to put a stop to all of that, right? You have to be focused, you have to be locked in, and you have to get your guys also motivated to be locked in to take this shit serious, right? And the outlook of the team reflects how the best player is, right? If the best player is not serious, the team is not going to be serious. But if he's serious and takes everything very, very personal when he's out there on the floor, guess what? The team is going to follow in pursuit, right? So it starts from the top, like I said, and then it works all the way to the bottom. To the role players, to the bench players, to the 15th guy on the bench, to the two-way guys on the the two-way guys on the team, the Janine Brooms, the other guys too, right? It starts with Joel Embiid and then it works all the way down, right? But let me talk about production a little bit. Now, from a production standpoint, last year I really expected the six or three, the three best players to average 20 points or more, right? But it didn't really happen. Paul George only ended up averaging like what 16 or 17, which was very, very low from the season prior, right? When he was with the Clippers. Now, having three players on a team that averaged 20 points or more, that's very, very it's very, very rare, right? Now we see teams with three players averaging 20 plus or more, but it's not very common, right? It's not very common. But what made me believe that is that I believe that Paul George is that good offensively to be able to give us that kind of production. Now, when you talk about teams that have three guys that's giving you 20 plus or more, you can talk about the Boston Celtics, right? With Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis. I think the 23-24 season, they were three giving you All three of them was giving you 20 plus or more, right? Um, and then you go to the Golden State Warriors when they had Kevin Durant. I mean, KD, Steph, and Clay was giving you. They had a season where they were all averaging 20 plus or more, right? And then even with the Sixers, the 2022-2023 season, right? We had Joel Embiid who was averaging 30, and then we had Maxey and James Harden giving you 20. I mean, I think Harden averaged 21, and then Maxey was averaging 20 points per game, right? So that's three guys averaging 20 plus or more. So that's what made me believe that, Paul George could also give you 20 plus, but it didn't happen. Now, heading into this season, like I'm not having those expectations anymore. I'm just looking to win games and do what's necessary for us to win. So whether it's Embiid, averaging less points, whether Maxey's the best, the leading scorer for the team next season, or Paul George is the leading scorer next season, like I don't really care. I'm just looking to win games at this point. Like do what's necessary to get you into the playoffs. Now, when you get into the playoffs, then the hierarchy should be established, right? Because in some series, not every series is going to have the same leading score, right? Every series determines, like, how do I even say this? Like, every series, every team you play against is going to be different. So you might play against a team where Maxey might have the favorable matchup. So Maxey might average the most points. And then you might have another series where a team is not, a team is playing small ball. They don't really have a center that can really compete with Embiid on the block. Then guess what? Embiid should look to cook in that series. Or maybe another team where they don't really have good enough perimeter defenders. They don't really have enough good wing defenders that can keep up with Paul George. And guess what? Paul George gets to eat in that series. So the scoring is determined by the team you face in the playoffs. And I think that's how they should approach it in the playoffs. But I mean, let me not even talk about playoffs right now, because who knows? Will the Sixers even make the playoffs this year? I mean, I don't know. Right? Will the Sixers make the playoffs? I don't know. But as of right now, let's just talk accordingly. I mean, training camp and then to preseason and then to regular season, right? Um, Come regular season, I mean, I expect these guys to all be serious. Now, I don't expect Joel Embiid to start off the season, right? He might miss a few games. So yeah, but Paul George, Maxey, I'm looking for those guys to be the two leaders on the team, right? And then we work our way all the way down to the role players. Now, shout out to the younger guys on the team. Shout out to the VJ Edgecombs. Shout out to, Jerry McCain. Shout out to Justin Edwards, right? Shout out to those guys. And then the vet guys on the team as well. Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, Kyle Lowry. Now, I don't think Kyle Lowry's gonna play that much this season. He's kind of gonna have the Udonis Haslem role on the Sixers, right? He's not really gonna play a lot of minutes. He's just gonna be out there, be a motivator, try to get guys, get them on the right path, trying to be the leader in the locker room type guy. That's who Kyle Lowry's going to be. I don't see Kyle Lowry playing 30 minutes next year, right? He's in year 20. His body's not the same. Injuries don't caught up to him. Right? Has a ton of miles on his legs. He's not going to be playing 30 plus minutes a night. So Sixer fans that are a little bit, concerned because he's going to be returning to the Sixers and Nick Nurse is on the team. Nick Nurse is not going to play Kyle Lowry 30 plus minutes, right? We have a lot of good guards in the team for him to get any playing time. Now, the only time he gets to play is if these guys get hurt, right? The only time he gets to play is when these guys get hurt. Now, when you have Maxey on the team, you have Jared McCain on the team, you have VJ Edgecombe on the team, and I mean, who knows? Will Quentin Grimes re-sign with the Sixers? I mean, who knows? But let's act like he's on the team. If you have all of these good guards on the team, guess what? Kyle Lowry's not going to play, right? Kyle Lowry's not going to play. So that's one thing. But for the role players, right? The Andre Drummonds of the world, the Kelly Oubre's. Let me just talk about them. Let me focus on them for a second. Now, Kelly, he had his, he was going back and forth with the city, um, saying that he really loves the city of Philly, but the love is not reciprocated, which that's not true, right? It's not true. Sixer fans still love Kelly Oubre. You know, they love what Kelly Oubre does on a night to night basis. They love the energy he plays with every single night. They love the effort that he brings, the passion, the tenacity that he plays with out there on the floor. Like Sixer fans really appreciate it, right? Now, just because Sixer fans appreciate what you do doesn't mean that they don't have a right to criticize you. Like I said in my last live stream, right? Sixer fans have every right to criticize every player. Even Maxey gets criticism. Even Joel Embiid gets criticism, right? When Joel Embiid won the MVP, he got criticized, right? In the regular season, right? He got criticized. I criticized him. And you know why? Because he did not get on the glass as much as he was supposed to, right? He was only giving you like what, 10 rebounds? When I felt like Embiid is so good as a rebounder to get you at least 12 or 13. So I criticized that part of his game. But his scoring ability, the defense that he brought, the shot blocking ability, okay, that was good. But there were still areas of improvement for him, right? So he got criticized, at least from me. Now with Kelly Oubre, yeah, I can appreciate the effort that you play with, every single night. I can appreciate you showing up to play, playing a lot of games, right? Playing a lot of minutes as well. Even playing through injuries, because he did say that he played through he had a surgically repaired thumb or whatever, finger injury or whatever, and he still played through it. So we can appreciate that, but that doesn't mean that we can't criticize you, right? That don't mean we can't criticize you. And when you get criticized, it's not a bad thing. But when you're getting criticism from the fan base, you should look at it and use that as motivation for the next season and not look to, try to go at the fan base and I'll cook anybody that steps in front of me. I mean, of course. I mean, we're not pros. We're not pros. Yeah, you will cook the average fan. But I mean, let's be honest, bro. If you looked at yourself from last season, yeah, the 3-point percentage went down. Some of your plays went down, but the defense we don't question. Nobody criticized your defense. Nobody criticized you, the effort that you play with, right? What they criticized was the 3-point percentage that you have to get better with, right? And Kelly Oubre coming out and going at the fans, that kind of it kind of sent the signal that he does not want criticism. He's not able to accept constructive criticism, and that's a bad thing, right? That's a bad thing. Josh says the problem with both Joel Embiid and Paul George being the leader is that they have been known for being too soft, too okay with losing. But I mean that is true. That's a narrative out there about them. But I mean they have a chance to prove that they're not soft. Now, I mean, first of all, I don't call NBA players soft. I mean, I don't. When I see people calling NBA players, so I just laugh. Right? You don't make it to the NBA being soft. You don't play 16 years being soft. Right? You don't play 16 years being soft. Embiid, you don't, if you're Joel Embiid, you don't go through all these injuries that you've been through by being soft and also still playing 10 plus years. Right. Now, yeah, you haven't won. That's true. Right. They haven't won, but that don't mean they're soft. But that tag, they have an opportunity to, erase that narrative about them. Right. And that all starts this season, right? How you approach this season, how you play, how serious you take it. That's all going to determine if you can, erase that, get that tag off you, right? Because it's a narrative. Now, me personally, I don't subscribe to it. I don't believe in it, but it is true that people think that they're soft, which is ridiculous. But that's the tag about them. So they have a chance to erase that, get that tag off them, and they have to prove to people why they're not soft. Now they don't have to prove anything to us, but I mean, if you really want to win, right, that's what it takes, right? That's what it takes. If you want to win, there are certain narratives that you have to combat, you have to counter or go against, right? The same the same thing that the Boston Celtics did with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the same thing that SGA and his team did, right? The same thing that I mean, maybe those guys may not have been called soft, but there was a narrative about them that they cannot win. But they went out there and they proved to us that they can indeed win. So I think that's how Joel Embiid and Paul George should approach it, right? because winning cures everything. Like when you win, all that narrative goes out the window. It goes in the trash can. So I think winning your approach to the season, how you played during the season, and also ultimately winning is what erases all of that. So if they really want to get that tag off them, that's what they have to prove. When old school fans say today's NBA players are soft, they're talking about how mentally fragile their egos are. Yeah, I mean, but I don't follow none of those. No, I mean, I don't really subscribe to it because some of these older players are jealous because of the money that these new guys are making, and that's just a fact, and that's what fuels them to say all these outrageous things that they say. So I don't really subscribe to it. Like I said, you don't play 10 years, you don't play 15 years in the NBA being mentally soft, right? You don't go through all the injuries that Joel Embiid has gone through or went through being soft, right? Losing every single time and getting better and getting back at it the next season, that is not soft, right? It's not soft. So like I said, they're just narratives. The people that even make those I mean, you'll get a 3-year NBA veteran calling these players soft, and but motherfucker, you played 3 years. If you were so mentally tough, why couldn't you play more than 3 years? You get what I'm trying to say? So I don't really subscribe to it. SGA is called a free throw merchant. Tatum still gets hate. Tatum gets hate because because I mean the championship, the speech that he gave at the championship, there were things that people have said, and he was repeating the same thing. So people were calling him goofy for that. People were calling him non-original. Him trying to be Kobe. That's like people criticize him not trying to be himself. That's where he gets the hate from. But as far as a like a hooper, like people know how Sixer fans know how serious Jason Tatum is when he gets on the court, right? When we played them in the second round in 23, right? One game away from the Eastern Conference with 4 minutes left, Jason Tatum stepped up and scored like 16 points in the fourth quarter, put the Sixers away. And then in game 7, he continued to put the Sixers in a casket and send them home. So Sixer fans know how serious he is. But it's off the court stuff. And with SGA and the free throw merchants, bro, Kobe attempted 10 free throw plus, some of the season he averaged 35. He was getting to the free throw line like 10 times, 11 times. AI was getting to the free throw line 10 times, 11 times. MJ was getting to the free throw line 10 times, 11 times. Like, bro, great scorers are going to get to the line. That's what comes with it. So just play defense without fouling. Now it's difficult. It's easier said than done, but play defense without fouling. And we saw what you call it. We saw the Lakers in the regular season do it, where I think SGA attempted like fewer free throws. So it can be done. But the bottom line is play defense without fouling. And getting to the line is a part of the game. Drawing fouls is a part of the game. It's a huge advantage to great scorers. Like if you have a player on your team who can draw fouls, that's very, very huge for you, right? Because as a player, like my coach used to tell me, like, yo, use the defender's aggressiveness against them, right? Put them in foul trouble if you can, right? And that's what SGA does, and people are mad at him for it. But the great players got to the line, but y'all didn't care about it. Y'all called them great. MJ, Kobe, AI, the great scorers. I mean, maybe McGrady was also getting to the line. I mean, I haven't checked, but the great scorers get to the line, bottom line. So Harden was getting to the line, and B gets to the line. Now, yeah, Harden was called a free throw merchant as well, but all these guys were getting to the line. So the great scorers go to the line. You criticize Ben Simmons for his game. Isn't that hypocritical? I criticize them because he never got better. The same way I criticize Joel Embiid's rebounding, the season he won the MVP. I criticize everybody. Like if there's an aspect of your game that you got to get criticized for, guess what? You gonna get criticized for me, right? And Ben Simmons did not work on his game, so that's why I criticize him. And also, he quit on the Sixers, so you get criticized for that, right? So it's not so rap God. It ain't hypocritical, bro. It's fair criticism. It is fair criticism. So yeah, that's that. But let me get back to Kelly Oubre. So yeah, Kelly should learn how to take criticism and then use it as fuel for the next season. It's not anything personal. It's not that because Sixer fans are criticizing you, the love is not there. The love is still there. right? Sixer fans appreciate their players, right? They're gonna ride for their players regardless. But also, just because you getting love doesn't mean that you can't get criticized. Like we can demand that our players get better. The same way we did with Ben Simmons and he took his ball and went home, right? The same way we did with other players. So that's that. But I think Kelly, on an expiring contract, he's gonna play much better this season, like he did the first year with us. And I mean the Sixers might look to trade Kelly Oubre, right? Sixer fans are no different than Knicks fans. I mean that's true. Sixer fans, Knicks fans, Laker fans, you don't want to mess with them. Like you don't want to piss them off. Like they will be on your helmet, right? They will be on your helmet. So that's true. But yeah, that's all with Kelly Oubre. But I mean, Kelly, if he's on the team, I like it. But if the Sixers decide to move him to try to get better at other areas, then guess what? I'm all for it too. Because I'm hearing rumors that he might get moved to the Sacramento Kings for Keegan Murray. If I get a Keegan Murray, I love it. Right, a younger player, who does what Kelly Oubre is capable of doing and also doing more. Like offensively, I think Keegan Murray can shoot the three better. He can get to the basket better. But yeah, if the Sixers want to get better at that position, I'm all for it. Right, and then also the Sixers they need more wing depth. So I'm not going to be mad at it. So, but if Kelly is still on the team, I love it. Right, I'm all for it. But let's go to other players. Right, Andre Drummond. Now, me saying Andre, I hate saying my own name, but it is what it is. But Drummond also being in trade talks and trade rumors last season, not really good for Andre Drummond. I mean, he's a backup center for a reason, right? He's not supposed to be a starting big man on any team, let alone a team with championship aspirations, right? But when your best player is not playing, when you got injured players on the team, that's what you get, right? That's what you get. But Drummond, the rebounding, it went lower, right? His rebounding numbers wasn't as impressive. Now he had some games where he did go off, getting on the glass, but overall, not what I really expected. Now the rebounding, we should rebound as a team, and every Nick Nurse team is a very, very good rebounding team. But for whatever reason, the Sixers are not that, right? When Nick Nurse was with the Raptors, those were good rebounding teams. Like they used to send two or three guys to the offensive glass because they had the athletes. But I think the Sixers don't really have those athletes that the Raptors had. So it's kind of difficult to kind of like deploy that same game strategy with the Sixers because you don't have the personnel, right? But I think, from the rebounding, like we should be rebounding as a team. Like I said, Paul George, when he gets on the floor, you can count on him to get you like 5 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 7 rebounds, right? Within that ballpark, within that range. And then, Maxi, should be good enough to get you 3, 4, maybe 5, right? And then other guys, if you have Joel on the floor, you should count on him if you're a big man and you get on the floor, you should be getting double-digit rebounds. I always say this. I'm gonna continue to say it. Now you might have an off night where sometimes you might not get the rebound. You might finish with 9 or 8, but on a night-to-night basis, your big man should be getting you double-digit rebounds every single night, right? Now Drummond games where he got you that when he was starting. Other games he could not get you that, right? Now to be fair to him too, he did struggle with some injuries. He dealt with was it toe injuries, right? He dealt with some toe injuries in the season. I think the game against the Spurs where Wemby was flopping all over the court. The next game Drummond didn't play because he was dealing with toe injury. So the whole team was hurt. Right now, coming into this year, hopefully he is healed. Um, with that significant time off, hopefully he has gotten better. From the injury. Would you welcome back Markel Fultz? Yeah, Markel definitely, but Ben Simmons, hell no. So yeah, but Drummond should also be a veteran guy. He's been in the league for what 13 years, 12. I mean, 14 years. Like he's been in the league for a long time, right? But Drummond is he's been declining, right? The athleticism. is starting to disappear. I mean, the athleticism is not there, and he's been taking a beating, since his days in Detroit, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, with the Lakers. Now, speaking of the Lakers, there are rumors that Andre Drummond might get traded back to the Lakers again. Now, that's very, very funny because he was with the Lakers in the 2020-21 season after the Cleveland Cavaliers bought him out, and then he ended up signing with the Lakers, and Laker fans were calling him what? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Drummond, whatever. And it was a complete disaster because you could not afford to have three guys who do most of their damage in the paint, right? Drummond is in the paint. Anthony Davis is in the paint. LeBron James looks to slash to get to the basket in the paint, and you just couldn't afford that, right? So he was on the bench for the most part of the series when they played against the Suns, and after they got bounced, he found his way to other teams, right? He signed with the Sixers, went to Brooklyn, went to Chicago, and now he's with the Sixers, right? So it's just funny that Laker fans would even entertain this idea of having Andre Drummond on the team. But I mean, the Lakers, they should be good with whatever they got, right? The Lakers don't even have anything that the Sixers would want anyway, so why even entertain that, right? But yeah, I expect Drummond to be better as well, on the last expiring contract. So, he might be in trade talks. Teams really love guys that's on expiring contracts. So maybe that's why Laker fans would want an Andre Drummond. But yeah, on an expiring deal, anything could happen, right? Anything could happen. And I mean, I think after this year, maybe I don't think Drummond might have a job next season, right? After this season, I don't think any team would want Andre Drummond on their roster. So he would have to do something really, really extraordinary to get a job next season, right? Maybe if that's being the backup big for the Sixers and playing a significant role coming off the bench as the backup big, or maybe getting traded to another team and doing something extraordinary, like grabbing 20 rebounds every single night, which is not realistic, but you get what I'm saying. But speaking of the backup center position, let me talk about Adem Bona. Now, Adem, really impressive last season, right? A guy with a high motor that has a knack for, blocking shots. As a rebounder, I mean, I didn't really see too much from him from that department. I mean, I saw him what he did defensively, right? He's very, very vocal as well, right? Very, very vocal. Yells a lot on the court. Get that shit out of here. Like you be if you're paying close attention, you'll hear him say that. But I just realized that he's on a non-guaranteed deal, right? And in the process of him not being on a guaranteed contract, guess what? He's gonna do everything in his power to try to get his contract guaranteed. So every opportunity that he gets on the floor, whether it's limited playing time or significant playing time, like he's gonna try to make the most out of it, right? So that's where the Drummond thing gets a little bit tricky because if Adem Bona ends up playing well, guess what? Adem is much younger, right? Much more energetic, much more athletic, right? Much more durable. So guess what? The Sixers might look to go in a different direction and might look to move Andre Drummond. So I really love this because this is very, very it's healthy competition in a sense where the younger guy versus the older guy, right? And we're all fighting for the same spot. Now it's not like if I make it, you gotta go. If you make it, I gotta go. Like no, but it's healthy competition, right? It's healthy competition because it's gonna bring the best out of each other, right? Andre Drummond knows that this guy might want to take my spot. So guess what? I have to play to the best of my abilities. And Adem might also look at it as shit, my contract ain't guaranteed. So if I don't play well, the Sixers might end up, cutting me, moving me, waving me, or whatever. So I gotta play every single night to the best of my abilities. Right. So I'm looking forward to this. But I've seen on other Sixer pages, people giving Adem Bona that spot already because they saw what Drummond did last season, and they're not sold on him being very, very good next season. So they're just giving Adem Bona the spot. But me personally, I want a guy to earn his spot, so that's why I'm not giving it to him. Like, yeah, let Drummond be the backup big. Now, I mean, Embiid is not even going to start the season anyway, so Drummond might end up starting, right? Drummond might end up starting, so the Sixers might not have any other choice but to start Drummond and bring Adem off the bench, which is very very good. That's what that's where I want to see him at, and if he earns it, if he earns that spot, then he earns it, right? Let's not give it to him without him earning the spot, and that's the same logic that I have for VJ Edgecombe, right? Now, I'm hearing people saying that he should start, he should be the starting two guard. We don't need Quentin Grimes. But me personally, I want to see VJ, earn it, right? And I think he's capable of earning it, right? In a small amount of time, right? I can see him earning his spot, getting the spot guaranteed. Now, speaking of Quentin Grimes, we all heard the news last night that, Fred Van Vliet had a torn ACL, wishing him a speedy recovery. It really fucked me up when I heard that. But so I mean, Quentin Grimes might end up, leaving the Sixers. Maybe even not going to the Houston Rockets, but he might end up leaving the Sixers. Now he has up until about a week to sign the qualifying offer because it expires. I think the last day to sign the qualifying offer is October the 1st, right? So I mean, who knows? Will Quentin Grimes be at Sixers media day? Like, it's just tricky, right? It's tricky right now, but yeah, I just want to see. Me personally, I would want Quentin Grimes back, right? I definitely want him back and want VJ to come off the bench, and then let's see how it goes. If he ends up outplaying Quentin Grimes, then guess what? He can be the starting two guard, right? He can be the starting two guard, three guard. I mean, ain't no such thing as a three guard, but he can be the starting two guard. Or if they want to play him at the small forward position, I mean, he has the size, he has the length. I mean, it's a small ball league anyway, so a 6'5" individual can play the three, just like Jaylen Brown was playing the three when the Boston Celtics won the championship, right? So VJ, very, 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 very high on him. Have a ton of confidence in him. I think he can be a very, very good player. I mean, who knows, potentially an all-star in the future. But I just want to see him earn his spot. And I think he's very, very capable of earning his spot. Right. He's athletic enough, he's talented enough, he works hard enough, and I think that he's motivated enough and he'll do whatever it takes to, crack the starting five. Now we know Maxey's spot is guaranteed, Paul George's spot guaranteed, and Embiid's spot guaranteed. Now the other two spots, those guys have to earn it. And knowing Nick Nurse for as much as I've known him for, guess what? I think he would do just as good to earn that spot. So yeah. Yeah, salute to my guy Jorge. Appreciate you, bro. Rap Guy Reloaded says, "You're from Philly. When did you become a Sixer fan?" Yeah, I'm from Philly. I was a Sixer fan since birth, bro. I was born a Sixer fan. You don't like being a Sixer fan is a way of life, right? It's a way of life. Even if I was from Cali, I would still be a Sixer fan. But that's that. But yeah, so VJ earned his spot, but if if Quentin Grimes returns to the Sixers and then let's say he resigns to the Sixers to the qualifying offer, then guess what? Maybe VJ might be a bigger priority than a Quentin Grimes because he's getting paid more money, so they might play the guy with playing the guy they're paying the most, right? That's something that we see Nick Nurse doing a lot. So that could go against a Quentin Grimes. So maybe that's why he is, pushing this thing further and further to try to get a very, decent contract so he can get his spot guaranteed. But me personally, I don't think anybody's spot should be guaranteed other than those first three or top three players that I mentioned, right? The Maxies, the Joel Embiids, and the Paul George, right? Those guys should have their spots guaranteed. The other guys, y'all got to fight for y'all spots. Y'all got to fight for y'all shit, right? You got to fight for it. So that's where I'm at with it. But, the younger guys, Jared McCain, I see Sixer fans saying that Jared McCain should be the starting two guard, which I sincerely disagree with, right? Wholeheartedly disagree with it, right? Me personally, I don't like midget backwards. And I think that you should balance out your starting five, right? You shouldn't look to go all offense in a starting five. Now, guys that come off the bench and you're down 15 points, and then you want to space out the floor, shoot threes, and go small. Okay, cool. But to start off the game, you don't want to start off going all offense, right? You want to start off, balancing it out. Guys, having somebody to guard the other team's best player and try to slow him down, right? That's how a good game goes. If you don't slow the best players down and they get into a rhythm early, that's a 40-point game right there, right? So Maxey's not capable of guarding the other team's best guards. Maxey can't slow down a Jalen Brunson. He can't slow down um, Donovan Mitchell. I mean, nobody can slow down Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson, but we have guys who could try to make it difficult for those guys, right? Kelly Oubre does a good job at it, right? In the playoffs against Jalen Brunson, he had games where Jalen Brunson really struggled, even though they won, but Jalen Brunson was highly inefficient. And those are the type of guys that you need in your starting five. Now, even though Kelly Oubre might not shoot a very good 3-point percentage, I mean, you can give that up for a good defense, right? You can give that up for good defense, and that's what I'm all for. Now, in terms of the role that a Jared McCain should have, me personally, I think he should be coming off the bench, being the sixth man on the team. That's the perfect role for him, right? Coming off the bench and being the Sixers version of Lou Williams, being the Sixers version of a Jamal Crawford, being the sixth man, Manu Ginobili, like that should be his role. Somebody who can come off the bench and just give you instant offense. And Jeremy Kane is absolutely capable of doing that. Now, I know my guy Mitch might disagree with me on this take right here, but I think a starting five should be balanced, right? And if you want to balance it out, you want some guys in your starting lineup, like good offensive players in your starting lineup, and also good offensive players coming off the bench. That's how you balance out a good team. If you don't know about this, go listen to Red Auerbach. Right? He came up with this. He came up with this ideology back in the '60s, and guess what? Teams, adopted it into their philosophy. Coaches adopted it into their philosophies, and guess what? They've been successful with it. Right? Because he had John Havlicek coming off the bench. And I mean, later on, after Bill Russell and Sam Jones and Casey Jones and all those good players retired, John Havlicek got into the starting lineup and he was killing shit. So, yeah, I think Jared McCain, yeah, come off the bench. And, I mean, you can still play 30 minutes coming off the bench, right? We saw Malik Beasley do it last season with the Detroit Pistons, right? So Jared McCain could have his moments, coming off the bench, um, causing damage and being in the 6-man runnings. Like, I mean, you missed the rookie of the year. I mean, that was unfortunate because of the injury, but you still have a chance to go after other season awards, right? And the 6-man award is right there, right? You can go for it. You can help the team as well from an offensive standpoint of view, even playmaking, right? Just having a two guard coming off the bench is very, very significant to any championship team. We've seen that with the Boston Celtics a few seasons ago. We saw that with the Nuggets a few seasons ago, right? The Boston Celtics had who? Peyton Pritchard. Denver had who? Bruce Brown, right? So, um, Jeremy McCain could be that guy coming off the bench and causing this damage like that. And then you also have Justin Edwards. Now Edwards had some minutes last year as a starter, playing alongside Paul George. He had his moments right there, but I think next season he should kind of like coming off the bench. Your 3-and-D guy coming off the bench that every team has. Coming off the bench and doing whatever that needs to be done, whatever assignment that you need him to carry out there on the floor. He's going to do it to the fullest, right? He's that skilled. He's that good offensively. Defensively, he's not great, but he gives effort, right? He's tall. He's lengthy. Has quick hands. Can move his feet. Able to make it difficult for the other team's guards, right? We saw it last season. Now he had some games where he was getting cooked, but by Damian Lillard. But I mean, he was a rookie, so that was his welcome to the NBA moment, right? Especially being a kid from Philly that wasn't drafted and trying to make something out of nothing, right? Good for him. He got his contract to be guaranteed. So he did what was necessary to get his contract guaranteed. Now, the next step, the sophomore season, is to, do something extraordinary to get into the starting lineup, whether the season next or whatever, right? So I think Justin Edwards can absolutely do that 100%. Be the 3 and D guy off the bench. Like I can see him doing that. Or if Nick Nurse wants to, make things versatile in the starting five, you can have him start alongside Paul George. Now, me personally, I don't like that because I don't think he's that tall enough to play the other team's power forwards. I mean, even though the what you call it, this era of power forwards is very, very mid. I mean, other than Giannis, Anthony Davis, and a few others, Julius Randle, Paulo's very, very good. Evan Mobley is very, very good. The the rest of them are just at the bottom, right? So, but as your 3 and D guy coming off the bench, I think that's the perfect role for him, right? That's the perfect role for him. And then you have also Trendon Watford, who was picked up this summer, this offseason. And he got on the team because Maxey, I think he has a relationship with Maxey. So that's how he was able to sign with the team. So he signed with the team on a vet minimum. So guess what? On a 1 year deal, he will try to make an impact and try to do whatever that's necessary for him. Whatever assignment that Nick Nurse needs him to carry out on the floor, I think he can be looking to do that. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, I can see him making an immediate impact with the team. Now, playing for Brooklyn, he played for Brooklyn, he played for Portland. Not very good teams when he was playing for them. I think Portland was a little bit better because they had Damian Lillard at the time. They had some good players to compete in the Western Conference. So he knows what that playing for a team with expectations feels like, right? But playing for the Sixers, it's a different type of ball game, and you have to bring enough to the table. Now, yeah, the Sixers did lose last season, but okay, that was last season. But heading into next season, a new start, fresh start for both sides, right? Both Trendon Watford and the Sixers. So, whether he starts, I think he should start, which is a little bit, you know, I think he should start, but also I think he should come off the bench, which I'm not fully decided on what I want him to be next season. So, I think as of right now, I'm gonna just stick with whatever decision that Nick Nurse comes to, right? Whatever decision that he comes to. But I think if he's gonna start, I think he would have to do enough to prove to Nick Nurse that he is as good to be the starting power forward on the team. I mean, he's 6'9". He could be the point forward for the team. Now, me personally, I don't really care who initiates the offense because me personally, I'm like I like grab and go guys. Like if you get it off the rebound, you can push it because we're trying to score in transition as quickly as possible. That's how I look at it, right? Now, of course, I don't want Embiid pushing the break because Embiid is slow, and by the time he crosses half court, the other team's defense will be set. But if you have other guys who can push the rock in transition and try to get easy opportunities, try to get into early offense, like I'm all for it, right? But Trendon Watford, watching a little bit of film from last season with the Nets, I think he has some playmaking qualities and abilities that could really help the Sixers, like somebody who can make plays and even use Maxey off ball sometimes, right? Because Maxey on the ball every single possession, that can be a little bit like you want to switch things up a little bit. So, yeah, Trendon Watford could be your secondary playmaker. Even Paul George has some good playmaking abilities as well, right? So, it can really help the Sixers. Now, defensively, he's not really good. Rebounding the basketball. I mean, I'm not looking at his stats right now, but probably not a good rebounder too. So maybe him coming off the bench might be the best decision for him. But I just want to see what he gives you starting, and then I make my decision. Yeah, he averaged 3.6 rebounds last year, so yeah, that's that's pretty mid, right? Especially for a team that really needs rebounding, right? A team that really needs rebounding, that's really good for us. So, yeah, maybe he might start off coming off the bench, but who knows what happens? He might end up in the starting lineup. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it pretty much. I think that's about it. Yeah, for now. The Janine Brooms, I don't think he's gonna play for the Sixers. He would have to earn his spot with the with the G League team. I don't think he's gonna play that much on the Sixers next season. But pretty much, I went through everybody that I wanted to talk about. The Kelly Oubre's, Quentin Grimes, whether he remains with the Sixers or leaves. I want him back with the Sixers because I know what he's capable of doing. Offensively, defensively, like everything that he brings to the table, the Sixers will need every single one of it. Right. So yeah, Quentin Grimes just returned to the Sixers. Improve our guard depth, and let's see where we can go from here. Yeah, the other forwards, Kelly Oubre, Justin Edwards. I talked about everybody. Daryl Morey, his job could be at stake. Nick Nurse's job could be at stake. Most of these role players on the team, their jobs might be on the line. I mean, their jobs might not be on the line, but them being in Philly might not, maybe short term, right? If things don't go well this season, this upcoming season. But um Eric Gordon, on the team, right? Resign with the Sixers. Hopefully he can give you something coming off the bench, right? And then also, Kyle Lowry. Kyle is not going to play as much, so I'm not even going to focus on him. But really expect a lot from the big three. I mean, I don't think it's a big three, but people keep saying it's a big three, so let's just call it that. But I expect a lot from the big three, right? I expect a lot, especially from Paul George, right? I expect a lot from him next season. If he really wants to win a championship or really wants to change this narrative about him being soft, it start next season. So how would you respond after having a disaster season last year, right? Maxey, how are you going to respond next season going through what you went through last year, right? Career highs in turnovers, low 3-point percentage since the Harden era or since Harden was with the team. Joel Embiid, how many games are you gonna play? How many are you gonna pout if you're not getting the ball? Like, how are you gonna respond when you're not getting enough touches offensively? How are you gonna galvanize the team when they're at their lowest points? Right? How do you overcome adversity? How do you respond when things get tough? So that's I'm gonna be looking at all these guys, and then Nick Nurse too, right? As much as I look at these three the best players on the team, I'm also looking at Nick Nurse. Like, how are you gonna make things easier for the big three? Are you gonna put the right guys in at the right time? Are you gonna go small when the other team has 2 7-footers on the court? Right? Are you gonna put Kyle Lowry in when we have VJ Edgecombe and Jared McCain healthy on the bench? Like, I'm gonna be looking at everybody, right? Looking at everybody. How's the defense going? Are you running the right schemes? Are you playing the right defenses against the guys on the floor? Are you making things very, very easy for the other team to score? Like, what are you giving up to stop something? Because defense, I mean, most of the time, defense, you give up something to take away something, right? So, for example, if you want to take away guys trying to drive and finish at the rim, guess what then? You might end up giving up whether it's corner threes or top of the key threes or threes above the break. You might have to end up giving up one of those type of shots to stop dribble penetration, right? You stop dribble penetration by giving up do something. So whether you want to give up threes or give up mid range is up to the coach. So I'm going to be looking at everything. I'm going to be looking at all of that. I'm going to be looking at the body languages of every player out there on the floor, right? Because sometimes these players might have agendas when the season starts. Like, somebody might be playing for the next contract, somebody might be playing for a season award. So I'm going to be looking at all of that. But I hope media day goes smooth. I hope guys show up at media day. I hope it's just good vibes, and you know I hope the media is not out of pocket. Now I can expect the media, asking like hard questions, like very, very difficult questions, especially to Joel Embiid. Right. Now he better show up because he wasn't, like I said, he wasn't at the exit interviews, right? So there's a lot of questions that he has to answer, that he got to answer, right? So him, Maxey, PG, VJ, his rookie campaign, hopefully it goes well. I mean, VJ is he's very, very mature. Answers questions the right way. Jared McCain is also pretty mature, right? Answers questions the right way. So, yeah, I think media day is gonna be fun. But I just hope that between now and media day, I just hope that Quentin Grimes, we get the news, we get the notification that Quentin Grimes resigns with the Sixers. That's what I'm really hoping for. That's what I'm really, really hoping for. Right? That's what I'm hoping for. And then also, I mean, I don't think they're gonna make any trades from now to the season starting. I just don't see it. But hey, it's the NBA. Anything is possible. So you might be at media day, and then the next thing you know, you just get a notification that you just got traded to the Utah Jazz or the Dallas Mavericks or something. So anything can happen. But man, this shit funny, bro. But yeah, I'm just glad that the Sixers might be playing basketball very, very soon. With everything like the new jerseys. I mean, not the new jerseys, but the throwback jerseys, the AI throwback jerseys. I'm just excited for it. I might end up buying like a ton of jerseys this year, right? I might end up going to a bunch of games this year too, right? Because I just want to experience this season, and forget all about last season. So, yeah, and I have expectations for a lot of these guys, right? This team in the Eastern Conference, the entire NBA, and also the Atlantic Division, right? Because we was one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference, one of the worst teams in the NBA, and also the worst team in the Atlantic Division. So, yeah, I'm expecting a lot. Um, yeah, me personally, I wish we could have like seven guys in double figures, right? At least that's balanced offense right there, and not just look to make one person make things happen offensively. I want balanced offense, balanced attack every single night, and because you can load manage in a game, right? You can load manage in games. You don't have to like take games off, but you can just instead of scoring 30 every single night, you can just reduce it, create opportunities for other guys, and then do what you do, right? Now you might have a night where you get hot from the beginning and you just play yourself into a 40-point game, but it doesn't have to be every single night, right? It's not supposed to be every single night. Like on the on a cool Tuesday night against the Charlotte Hornets, if Embiid goes for 45, that's cool, but it shouldn't be continuous, right? On a cool Tuesday night in December, if Maxey goes for 50 against the Wizards, yeah, that's cool, but it shouldn't be every single night, right? You shouldn't stretch yourself for 40, 50-point games every single night, right? There should be I mean you should look to like get your guys involved more than trying to score every single time, trying to take every single shot and trying to play every single minute. So um next season is gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun. Um with everything that's going on with the Sixers and also in the Eastern Conference too. Cause I expect Paul George to make the All-Star team next year, right? I expect Paul George to make the All-Star team next season. That's not very, very difficult in the Eastern Conference, right? It's not difficult to make the All-Star team. That's what I expect from Paul George, right? I expect a bounce back season, but also I expect him to make the All-Star team. That's one of my expectations of Paul George. Now, Maxey, I expect him to be a much better playmaker next season, right? I expect him to make a huge jump when it comes to playmaking, right? That's what I expect from him. Now, Joel Embiid, I expect him to be a much better leader next year, right? I expect him to be a much better leader, much more vocal on the floor. Now, I know he talks, but I want to see more communication on the floor as the defensive anchor. Now he is gonna miss games, like I said. I think he's gonna miss the beginning of the season because the Sixers haven't given us any statement or anything. So we just have to assume that he's gonna miss games. But when he's out there on the floor, I expect him to be a much better leader on the floor. I expect Nick Nurse to be a much better coach next season. Right? I expect him to be a much better coach next season. I expect the role players to show up every single night, do what they do best, and help the best players and make their jobs easier. That's what I expect from them. I expect the younger guys to play very, very, very hard every single night, pause if necessary, right? And there are guys that I didn't even get to, like the Jabari Walker. I didn't really talk much about him, but I mean, who knows? Is he gonna play? Is he gonna get any rotation minutes? I mean, who knows, right? But I mean, it starts in training camp. I think training camp is gonna be. Is it gonna be in Dubai? I mean, not Dubai, but Abu Dhabi, UAE is going to be there. Which I mean, the Sixers, every year, training camps at a different is at a different place. I mean, last season it was in the Bahamas. The season prior, I think it was in Denver. So I mean, they're going to places, right? Charlotte, North. I mean, is it South Carolina, North Carolina? So yeah, it's going to be a good experience. But yeah, I expect a lot of improvement from Maxey. Like I expect him to improve very, very when it comes to playmaking. Like my guy, Rap Guy Reloaded said, like he should make a huge jump when it comes to playmaking because I think that's the separator when it comes to guards. Like a lot of guards can score, right? In the league, it's a lot of guards that can score. Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Trey Young, um, even guys that come off the bench, Emmanuel Quickly. Like guards can score, but the separator is can you make good reads? Can you read defenses, make the good reads, and make the right pass every single time? I think that's what the separator is. That's what separates some of these other guards from Maxey, the Ja Morants, the Trey Youngs, the Lucas, the SGA, Steph Curry. Like that's what separates them from Maxey, right? And those guys are also better, much better defensively. Like they might not be point of attack defenders. They may not be guarding the best player on the other team, but they give their team much value defensively than what Maxey gives the Sixers, right? And again, I'm not hating on Maxey, right? I'm just keeping it a bean. Like I'm not gonna sit up here and cap. I ain't gonna sit up here and cap just because Maxey plays for the Sixers. Like if Maxey has to get criticized, he has to get criticized. When it comes to scoring, he's a good scorer. I give him his props. Averaging 26 a game, that's not easy. You're a good scorer, but there are other things that you have to do to separate yourself as a guard. Right? The passing and playmaking is one of them. The defense is one of them. Now, the defense, not every guard, is very, very good defensively, but they give their team value defensively, right? Whether they're playing in the passing lanes, whether they're grabbing rebounds, because, getting defensive rebounds is a form of defense. Why? Because you're limiting the other team to one possession, right? So that's a form of defense. It's not on ball defense. Yeah, on ball defense is very, very valuable. But as a little guard, let's be honest, bro. You're not stopping nobody. Let's be real, bro. As a little guard, you're not stopping nobody from getting any shots off. So can you play in the passing lanes now? Playing in the passing lanes, sometimes you can overcommit and then end up gambling every single time. which is very, very horrible defense. But if you can get on those, if you can get a few steals, right? If you can get on the glass too and help out when it comes to rebounding, that's very, very, it's very, 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 very helpful and valuable. Because guess what? Sometimes when you get the rebound, you can push it in transition and get yourself easy opportunities on the other side. Or maybe you might not even end up making the shot, but you might can, kick it out to the open shooter like a Jared McCain in the corner, or you can find the trailing big man, running the floor, and then he gets an open dunk. Like there's a lot that comes with guards getting on the glass. Ask Russell Westbrook. But I mean, again, Russ is a much bigger player, much taller player than Maxey. So it might be easier for him to get rebounds than Maxey. But getting rebounds is very, very valuable, especially on this Sixer team, because we really need rebounding, right? We really need rebounding. So, yeah, I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Talked about every player, every single person that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, and I expect the assistant head coaches to be much better. Rico Hines and Brian Gates and all the assistant head coaches. I expect them to be better, right? I expect them to be better. But appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Um, salute to Rap Guy Reloaded, right? Salute to him. Salute to the new guys that showed up. Salute to Za. I be seeing Za on other platforms, right? I be seeing Za on other platforms, but I never tell people to sub to DFJ Hoops as a Sixer platform. Like, I never do that. Right? If you find it, then you find it. But I never tell people to, like, Sixer fans on other platforms to sub to my channel. But salute to Zai. Appreciate you for stopping by. Salute to BJ, a Cavalier fan. I hope you might be subscribing to Tune In Sports, his platform. He's a Cleveland Cavalier. He covers the Cavs, so you might want to go check him out. But salute to Mitch, like I said. Salute to Jorge. Salute to my guy Ja too. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure that I do more live streams this year, right? But I mean, the season is just starting, so hopefully something happens in the next few days, and we're back live talking about it, right? But yeah, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all, and again, I'm not hating on Maxey. I'm just demanding that he gets better. The same way I demanded Embiid to be better, same way I demanded Paul George to be better, same way I demanded Nick Nurse to be better. I'm also demanding Tyrese Maxey to be better too, to help the Sixers. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Yeah, I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.